That can be a court order. That can be a bill or order to pay a bill. Anybody ordering you unconditional to pay something. That means there's no other conditions outside they ordering you to pay. That constitutes a drive. That constitutes a drive. Yeah, that's a drive. Yeah, I don't care what it say on it. If that's what the elements of this instrument, like you receive a presentment, you receive a piece of paper in the mail about person, however you got it, and it's ordering you to pay something. Oh yeah. If it's ordering the payment, it's a draft. And the party creating that draft is the drawer. Orders another party, the drawee, to pay money, usually to the third party, the payee. See, that makes a trust. That's like a trust right there. You got three parties. That makes a contract. So that means when you receive the draft, it actually became a contract. You got three parties. It's a trust you just received. Every trust got three parties. Every draft got three parties. The trust got the grantor, the trustee, and the beneficiary. The draft got the drawer, the drawee, and the payee. It's almost identical. Just the words change in the order of what is doing change. Because a trust is meant to protect assets. But a draft is a written, unconditional written order. So you got to kind of embody this and understand this so you can start discharging. Now, acceptance, this is where the contract part come in. Acceptance is the drawee's written promise to pay the draft when it comes due. So the drawee is the person who's supposed to pay. That's the second party. To the third party, who's the payee. So when you write acceptance or when you receive the bill, you accept it. That means it had to be an offer. See, I'm going to tell you what they ain't going to tell you. That means it had to be an offer because a contract involves two elements, which is offer and acceptance. Without offer and acceptance, there's no contract. And a lot of time we are defaulting on our bills and committing fraud by giving them Federal Reserve notes. Even though we perform it incorrectly. Because our performance supposed to be we accepted the bill. You're supposed to write on the instrument, across the instrument, acceptance. Islam, any questions before we move on?
A draft. 1. A promise or order is payable on demand if it I states that it is payable on demand or at sight, or otherwise indicates that it is payable at the will of the holder, or e. does not state any time of payment. UCC 3-108a. The UCC defines a holder as the person in possession if a negotiable instrument is payable either to bearer or to an identified person, who is the person in possession. See UCC 1-201, 21a. The term bearer will be defined later in this chapter. Can be both a time and a sight draft. Such a draft is payable at a stated time after sight. Exhibit 24-2 shows a typical time draft. For the drawee to be obligated to honor the order, the drawee must be obligated to the drawer either by agreement or through a debtor-creditor relationship. For example, on January 16, Our Town Real Estate orders $1,000 worth of office supplies from Eastman Supply Company, with payment due April 16. Also on January 16, Our Town sends Eastman a draft drawn on its account with the First National Bank of Whiteacre as payment. In this scenario, the drawer is Our Town, the drawee is Our Town's bank, First National Bank of Whiteacre, and the payee is Eastman Supply Company. First National Bank is obligated to honor the draft because of its account agreement with Our Town Real Estate. Trade acceptances. A trade acceptance is a type of draft that is frequently used in the sale of goods. In a trade acceptance, the seller of the goods is both the drawer and the payee. Essentially, the draft orders the buyer to pay a specified amount to the seller, usually at a stated time in the future. For example, Midwestern Style Fabrics sells $50,000 worth of fabric to D&F Clothiers, Inc., each spring on terms requiring payment to be made in 90 days. 1 year, Midwestern Style needs cash, so it draws a trade acceptance that orders D&F to pay $50,000 to the order of Midwestern Style Fabrics 90 days hence. Midwestern Style presents the draft to D&F, which accepts the draft by signing and dating the face. EXHIBIT 242, a typical time draft. Pay T White O Eastman Supply Company. D&F then of the instrument. D&F then returns the draft to Midwestern Style Fabrics. D&F's acceptance creates an enforceable promise to pay the draft when it comes due in 90 days. Midwestern Style can now obtain the cash it needs by selling the trade acceptance in the commercial money market, a financial market for short-term borrowing that businesses use. Trade acceptances are the standard credit instruments in sales transactions. See Exhibit 24-3. When the draft orders the buyer's bank to pay, it is called a banker's acceptance. A banker's acceptance is commonly used in international trade.
This is a banker's acceptance. So this is a typical time draft. The reason why it's called a time draft because it has a time with a date on there to be drafted. And it has a time where it can expire or be overdue. The instructions on here is very important when it says pay to the order of, value received and charged the same account of. This is called a restricted endorsement. You're going to learn about this in the chapters coming forward. But you see the three parties. You have the payee, who the order is to be paid of, Eastman Supply Company. You have the drawee. The drawee is the person who's supposed to pay it. First National Bank of Whiteacre, Minnesota. And you have the drawer, Jane Addams. And you see they put their position. You see they put buy. And then they put their name right under there. And they put the corporation right above it. So they're acting for agent for the principals. And they put their title on there because they're not acting in individual capacity. So you have to study this to understand how to discharge debt using negotiable instruments. This is what you call a negotiable instrument or a check. You might call it a check, but we calling it a draft because it's distinct from a check because it's an order to pay. The drawee is the person making the promise to pay, the payee. The drawer is the person made the order to pay. He gave the order to the drawee to pay the payee. Islam? So you see the three parties right here, the drawer, drawee, and the payee. This is the acceptance right here where it says acceptance for value received and charge the same to the count of. When it says pay to the order of, that's a restricted endorsement where it cannot be, basically, nobody else can cash this. Nobody else can receive this outside this payee. That makes it restrictive. You're going to learn about that when you go into like when you go into the car dealership and you sign a car note, this is what this is. You have all these selling elements. You have a drawer, the person who's ordering you to pay. You have the drawee, usually be you, to pay the payee, which is usually a third party. And by you not signing the instrument with a restrictive endorsement, they are able to negotiate it to third parties. So we have to understand the difference and how the three roles play. That's what you learn right now, the roles. That's the most important part of this, the roles. Who's the drawer? Who's the person ordering you to pay? Who's responsible to pay? And who's supposed to receive the payment? Drop a 1 in the chat if it makes sense. If what I'm saying makes sense, drop a 1. If it don't, put a 2. Three parties make sense. Drop the 1. Any questions? Islam. Okay, so let's continue.
Checks as mentioned, the most commonly used type of draft is a check. The writer of the check is the drawer, the bank on which the check is drawn is the drawee, and the person to whom the check is made payable is the payee. As mentioned earlier, checks are demand instruments because they are payable on demand. Do other countries always consider checks to be negotiable instruments? For a discussion of this issue, see this chapter's insight into the global environment feature on the following page. Checks will be discussed more fully in Chapter 27, but it should be noted here that with certain types of checks, such as cashier's checks, the bank is both the drawer and the drawee. The bank customer purchases a cashier's check from the bank, that is, pays the bank the amount of the check, and indicates to whom the check should be made payable. The bank, not the customer, is the drawer of the check, as well as the drawee. The idea behind a cashier's check is that it functions the same as cash, so there is no question of whether the check will be paid. The bank has committed itself to paying the stated amount on demand. Promissory notes. NCDs, promises to pay. A promissory note is a written promise made by one person, the maker of the promise to pay, to another, usually a payee. A promissory note, which is often referred to simply as a note, can be made payable at a definite time or on demand. It can name a specific payee or merely be payable to bearer. Bearer instruments are discussed later in this chapter. For example, on April 30, Lawrence and Margaret Roberts sign a writing unconditionally promising to pay to the order of the First National Bank of Whitaker $3,000, with 8% interest, on or before June 29. This writing is a promissory note. A typical promissory note is shown in Exhibit 24-4 on page 491. Promissory notes are used in a variety of credit transactions. Often a promissory note will carry the name of the transaction involved. For example, suppose that a note is secured by personal property, such as an automobile. This type of note is referred to as a collateral note because the property pledged as security for the satisfaction of the debt is called collateral. 2. To minimize the risk of loss when making a loan, A creditor often requires the debtor to provide some collateral, or security, beyond a promise that the debt will be repaid. When this security takes the form of personal property, such as a motor vehicle, the creditor has an interest in the property known as a security interest. Security interests will be discussed in detail in Chapter 29.
Islam. So let's get the definition down of promissory note. Because this deals with the car notes and mortgages, credit cards. Everybody signed a promissory note, which is a written promise made by one person, the maker of the promise to pay, to another, usually a payee. So this doesn't have 3 rows. This only have 2 rows. So this falls into a category not of a trust, but of a common law contract. It got 2 parties, the maker and the payee. It don't got a drawee like the other situation. We only got the maker and the payee. Who's the maker of the promissory note is the person who made the promise. That makes you the issuer, original issuer. This is going to be important for tax purposes and things like that if you understand these roles. I'm just giving you the foundation so you can understand how to discharge this debt, because this is going to be meant for survival. You're not going to have a choice whether you want to discharge your debt or not. Inflation, prices going to rise. You're not going to be able to afford, I don't care how much money you got and don't got. If you think you obligated for debt, then that's how they got you in debt slavery. Because that comes with a mental slavery, because you mentally thinking you obligated to pay something, you're really not. You really don't have to, have to pay these folks. You really got unlimited credit. I'm just gonna keep it real with y'all. Okay. So y'all got that down? Let's go down and look at, this is a trade acceptance, so this is a little bit different. But this where you see the relationship between, again, the drawer, drawee, and the payee. But in this one, you seeing where the drawee has accepted and is a position of the acceptor. So when you receive a bill, when you the drawee, like I say, you accepted the bill. It's all about offering acceptance. That falls on a common law contract. So that's why this draft is a trust in the contract, because it has 3 parties. For one, makes it a trust. Then it has an often acceptance element to make it a contract. All right, so that's what this is explaining to you. Okay, let's continue.
Insight into the global environment, the negotiability of checks in other nations. Checks have a long history of being accepted the same as cash in the United States. Indeed, for many people in the United States, checks are the ultimate negotiable instrument. In many other countries, however, checks are disappearing as a means of payment. The shift away from checks in Europe has been spurred by the European Union's low-cost electronic payment system, which is much faster and more efficient than the systems available in the United States. The combination of lower costs and better protection from identity theft has led many Europeans to abandon their checks. Where checks are rarely used today. In many European nations, including Austria, Germany, and the Netherlands, people rarely write checks today. Instead, they rely on direct bank transfers and electronic payments, both of which will be discussed in Chapter 27. For most Europeans, for example, recurring monthly bills, such as phone bills, utility bills, and mortgage payments, are paid through automatic bank transfers. Payments are automatically transferred from customers' bank accounts directly to the billing company's accounts. In Great Britain, where checks have been used even longer than in the United States, checks are rapidly becoming a thing of the past. Since 2001, British businesses have received more payments electronically than by check. Now many businesses are trying to phase out checks altogether. In 2006, Asda, Britain's second-largest supermarket chain and a subsidiary of Walmart, announced that, beginning in the London area and extending soon to all Britain, it would no longer accept checks as payment. Boots, the country's largest pharmacy chain, has instituted a similar policy, and British utility companies are also discouraging the use of checks by charging an extra fee to customers who pay by check. Even when used, checks are often non-negotiable. Another reason Europeans have been willing to give up their checks is that the checks often are not actually negotiable. In France, for example, some people still use checks, but, unlike in the United States, the payee named on a check cannot endorse the check to a third party. As will be discussed briefly later in this chapter and in detail in Chapter 25, by endorsing, or signing, a check, the payee can transfer her or his ownership rights in it to a third party. Furthermore, the payee cannot walk into any bank in France and cash the check. In France, a check can only be deposited into the payee's account at a bank. Considering the inconvenience a check presents, it is no wonder that more and more shops in France are refusing to accept checks.
Islam. So we see here that they trying to go digital in Europe. That's why it's coming over here to the United States. But why? Because they don't want to use checks because it presents problems for them. For one, just far as bills, period, right? Because you see how they mention bills in the same statement as checks. Because the bills, they want to make automatic payment to your bank. That way you can't endorse them. But they still got to give you electronic copy. That's the trick to it. Like, even if you sign up for paperless billing, they gonna send you a copy of it. It usually be in an app where you can download it, and you can still negotiate it and endorse it. So you're gonna learn about that in the next chapter. But this is a highlight of what's going on in the world right now, because a lot of y'all don't understand why they going digital. It's because the paper is the money. The paper is the money. And how you endorse that matters. See, in the United States, we can endorse our checks to a third party. They can't do that in everywhere else. We got the UCCs here, things like that. Everywhere else ain't really got, they got the International Bill of Exchange. So by them not be able to negotiate in other countries, they don't really want to keep using it, because they on a different set of laws. But let's continue on.
A note payable in installments, such as installment payments for a large screen television over a 12-month period, is called an installment note. A certificate of deposit, CD, is a type of note. A CD.
And write that down, even though that's not a highlighted word. Write that down. Get that in your notes. An installment note, or what you call installment loan. Installments always involve collateral. Now, if you want to be a master at credit, you got to know different type of trade line. You got to know installment loans, secured loans, and unsecured loans. So you would be able to manipulate your credit report because you can get installment loans hold more weight than any other loan because installment loans involve collateral. So they hold more weight like a mortgage or a car note gonna hold more weight than a credit card. Because a credit card is not a collateral. There's no collateral being secured. So a credit card falls on an unsecured debt. So get that down in your notes. Installment note, a note payable in installments such as installment payments for a large screen television over a 12-month period is called an installment note. Them facts.
CD is issued when a party deposits funds with a bank. A certificate of deposit, CD, is a type of note. A CD is issued when a party deposits funds with a bank, and the bank promises to repay the funds, with interest, on a certain date, UCC 3-104, J. The bank is the maker of the note, and the depositor is the payee.
All right, so this a different type of note right here. The CD. Now, this is something we can, right now, you can get off this tomorrow and go invest in. Matter of fact, I'm finna go invest in one. A CD account. This is what I was telling people. You finna get them taxes back. Y'all done spent all that money on Christmas gifts. You could have opened up a certificate of deposit account. It says a CD is issued when a party deposits funds with a bank. And the bank promises to repay the funds with interest on a certain date, UCC 3-104J. Write that down. Get that in your notes. That's sauce. You can make money. It's telling you how to make money. You say deposit money in the bank, and the bank gonna issue you a promissory note with interest on a certain day. It's a guaranteed flip. Come on, man. Take finance, uplift the nation. It's a guaranteed flip. You got money sitting around just saving. Why not save it in a CD account and get some interest? And you made money and you ain't even did nothing but make a smart decision. Come on, man. If that makes sense, drop CD in the chat. You want to make some interest money because it's called interest income. You want to make some interest money, drop CD in the chat. That makes sense. Because they finna break down how a CD works.
For example, on February 15, Sarah Levin deposits $5,000 with the First National Bank of Whitaker. The bank promises to repay the $5,000, plus 3.25% annual interest, on August 15. Certificates of deposit in small denominations, for amounts up to $100,000, are often sold by savings and loan associations, savings banks, commercial banks, and credit unions. Certificates of deposit for amounts $490. Greater than $100,000 are referred to as large or jumbo CDs. Exhibit 24-5 shows a typical small CD.
So it broke it down. If Sarah deposits $5K in the bank promised to repay the $5,000 plus 3% interest by August 15th. Now she put this in February. So that's 6 months from February to August. So if you was gonna say you $5K in 6 months, you might as well collect 3% interest on that. 1% of 500 is what? $50. 10% is 500. Yeah, 1% would be $50. So that would be $150, a little bit over $150 made for 6 months just for your money sitting there. Your money be sitting there ain't making nothing. Now it's small, but when you talk about 100,000 putting in there and doing that, you start to see a difference. A lot of y'all just be having money sitting around anyway, not doing nothing with it. Might as well be collecting interest on it every year, at least getting 3% of your money. And then that creates a relationship with the bank where they start to issue you credit for that same amount. They start to give you credit amounts for that 5K. A lot of banks like Bank of America, if you put 10K with Bank of America in a CD account, they'll actually issue you a credit card as well for 10K. So not only you gonna get that 10K back with the interest, you got 10K of credit to go flip with anyway.
Islam.
Islam, every day. Islam.
This is the same reason why wealthy people, they're never really liquid, because all their money is sitting making them money. This is why they always need some time to put some money together. Islam.
That's the real. That's the real. They always got to go to their bank and clear some money and pull some money from this account. Because who saves money? If you smart, saving money is not smart. Investing money is smart. If I'm gonna let my money sit around somewhere, I'm gonna let my money make money. Why I'm finna just have my money sitting around, not doing nothing? That's like having a useless mate. You just got somebody just sitting there doing nothing, just looking cute. I need you doing something. I need you adding to this state. That's how the wealthy stay rich. They make the money make money. We don't understand generational wealth. We don't understand delayed gratification. We want everything instant. Sometimes you got to invest in future returns. Like if you got a child, you can start this with a child. You can put 5K in a CD account for your child and collect when they're 18. Just how much interest you done built up all them years. And you establish that relationship with the bank so you can go get loans and get funded. Man, it's a beautiful game playing with these banks. I'm trying to tell you, especially when you know you can discharge it all at the back of on the back end. Okay, so let's continue. We're gonna go to section 3, requirements of negotiability.
Requirements. For negotiability. For an instrument to be negotiable, it must meet the following requirements. 1. Be in writing. 2. Be signed by the maker or the drawer. 3. Be an unconditional promise or order to pay. 4. State a fixed amount of money. 5. Be payable on demand or at a definite time. 6. Be payable to order or to bearer, unless it is a check.
Islam, write that down. For an instrument to be negotiable, it must meet the following requirements. This is how you know you got a negotiable instrument if you see these 6 things. If it's in writing, it's signed by the maker or a drawer. The maker is what? A promissory note. Drawer is a draft. Be an unconditional promise or order to pay. State a fixed amount of money. Be payable on demand or at a definite time. Be payable to the order or to bearer unless it is check. Because checks don't have to be paid to the order or to the bearer, right? And that's why promissory notes are checks. But once you know these elements, these 6 elements, you can start to look at your promissory note, security agreements, lease agreements, and start to understand why they're negotiable instruments. Because this chapter is to help you understand the function and creation of negotiable instruments. So you can understand what negotiable instruments are. A lot of you don't understand. We playing with negotiable instruments. It's not money, it's not contracts, not none of that. Like negotiable instruments, and you have to learn how to endorse them and read them and recognize them. That's because that's what this telling you, how to recognize a negotiable instrument by these 6 things. Is it in writing? Was it signed? Was it signed by somebody? Didn't you sign your promissory note at the car note? Was it in writing? You signed it. Was it an unconditional promise to pay? Did you promise to pay, or did you make any other conditions? No, you just said you was gonna pay, so it's unconditional promise. Did it have a fixed amount to pay? Did it have a time period to pay? And then it did not tell you who to pay. It just said you had to pay. Or it might told you who to pay. But so anyway it go, these 6 things, that makes a negotiable instrument. Any questions? Okay, so this is a promissory note right here. A typical promissory note is example, exhibit 24.4, typical promissory note. It says 3,000 White Acre, Minnesota, date on or before 60 days after date for value received. Notice I always say for value received. That's a legalese talk. That's acceptance. That means when that's consideration in a contract. It always got to be consideration in a contract because the promissory note is a contract. It says the undersigned jointly and severally promise to pay the order to the order of First National Bank of White Acre at its office in White Acre, Minnesota, $3,000 with interest thereon from date thereof at the rate of 8% per annum, computed on the basis of actual days in a year of 360 days, indicated in number 7 below. Now look at all that language they put in there. This is why you got to be rooted in more science. Well, okay, so then you have to also recognize things. So you might be seeing a promissory note like this, but you ain't gonna have these markers to let you know who the parties is. You have to recognize the parties. Who the payee right here. It says pay to the order of the First National Bank of White Acre. That's the payee. The makers right here. They signed it. That's what you be doing, signing stuff. And you got all this language in there. You notice how it says, this is something I just noticed that it says computed. This is how they let you know they doing their computations, that it's computed on the basis of actual
Rental
days.
at the rate of 8% per annum.
Hold on, let me do that. Basis on actual days in a year of 360 days. That's significant because it's only 7 days in a year. And they letting you know that you are contracting outside of natural law. You are contracting on they computed time. That's very interesting to me though. But this is the promissory note. It's a promise of these 2 people signing it to pay, and all they had to do is put their signature on it. This is a check. You see how it's made in the form of a check? Because it's a check as well. Actually, Bank of not Bank of America, but Navy Federal Bank, they are issuing promissory notes in the form of check now. If you get a car loan from them, they're not giving you a check no more. They're giving you a promissory note to give to the dealership. I could show you one we just received from Navy Federal for like $50K. Okay, any questions? Any questions? We're gonna take a break for 10 minutes. 10-minute break. We're gonna come back at
Grand Sheik, if I may.
Go ahead. If you got a question, go ahead.
I just that part about the actual days and the 360 days, it seems to me like they're actually operating on a 13-month year. or something like that, to where it's like, 28 days in a month, and then it's 360 days in a year.
Um, I don't know if they using 13 months. I don't know. But I know that they're not using divine law because
Hmm.
it's only 7 days in a year. I mean, you might got some on that one. But anyway, it go, this is how they take you into the commercial jurisdiction. Because this is not a common law contract, but this is what we call a UCC contract, a negotiable instruments. Because on a common law, this would not be enough um to constitute a contract on a common law, but under the UCC, this constitutes a contract. It's an agreement. Once one party promises to pay another party, it becomes a contract. It don't matter if it was anything, exchange, consideration. Because right here, it doesn't tell you what you get for paying this. And this is what your card note does. It doesn't tell you what you receive. You just making a promise to pay these people. And it's not even told you what you're gonna receive. And that constitutes a contract on the UCC. On the common law, it has to be consideration. It has to be an even exchange.
Islam. So instead of sending these people $3,000 in this case, it's better to write acceptance across this and discharge it.
Yep, we're gonna get into the procedure once we get the foundation. But you discharge it. You want to perform. You don't want to pay because you can't pay. You sending Federal Reserve notes, it still ain't paid anyway. That's why they gotta go through the IRS and they gotta do what they do on that end in private because you never really paid.
Hmm.
They just letting you commit the fraud to keep you in slavery. The credit reporting agencies, the banks, all of them are in this fraud together. And this is how you know you're supposed to do it because you receive a coupon on the bottom of all your bills. You receive a coupon, a detachable portion. Why all your bills have a detachable portion in the form of a check? Why does it have serial numbers at the bottom of that coupon? And it has this same language in there, promise to pay and pay to the order of and all this language. What does this thing mean? Because we read in the first and last week that in the UCC that it don't always have to say check on it to be a check. That's in the UCCs. So you got to know a check when you see one, not when it says it's a check. Because the debt was already prepaid when you got it. But by us not recognizing securitization, when they sent us the bill, we assume that it's an invoice and not knowing that it's just a bill of exchange. It's a negotiable instrument. It's not an invoice. It doesn't have a negative amount that's owed anything. The counting is wrong on it. It's a billing error. First thing you should be doing is rescinding the contract. Then you should be sending a qualified written request with some form of debt validation for them to validate the debt. And then you should be sending them a substitute contract, court and satisfaction, with a negotiable instrument attached. We're going to get into that. We're going to learn that, but you got to learn step by step because this is how I learned it. To conclude it, you know what I'm saying? I'm still learning, but I have a foundation of information when it comes to negotiable instruments and these bills that we're receiving.
As 100 grand, Sheik, I actually sent out a book to some people that walk you through the steps, step by step, exactly what you're talking about. Um, and I'm gonna go over a lot of that stuff and how to do a lot of that stuff today once we get off here. So I advise everybody to actually join the classes that I have on Sunday because we go over a lot of this stuff, and I don't mind sharing the book with the people that actually join the classes.
Islam. Yeah, it's a hot topic. We got to talk about it. Moors need as much instruction. We're going to go through this week by week and give you the foundation. That way, any procedures you receive, you can dissect the procedure and know how to use it. So a lot of people don't even know how to use these procedures because you just following procedure and not actually studying procedures. You have to study the procedure. And what I mean by study, you should be taking notes and writing down definitions. You should be double checking the laws and looking up additional laws that you can use. You should be doing full research before trying things. And this is why you got Sunday school. So you're just not out here trying stuff. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna take a short break. We're gonna use the restroom. Y'all ain't got your cameras on, so y'all probably not already doing what y'all need to do, eating, doing all type stuff behind the camera, but that's cool. But I need to we need to get a 10-minute break. We're gonna come back at 12, was 12:09. We're gonna just come back at 12:19. We'll convene at 12:19 Islam.
And put some of that fire music on, man. I need to hear something today.
Islam, I got you.
Start the year strong at Planet Fitness. Just $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends January 9th.
Uber and Lyft are part of daily life for So let's break it down. immediately.
The feds listening. Let them know they ain't got no jurisdiction. Islamism. Hey, Islam. Allah, Allah. All praise to Allah. I'm counting all my blessings, Allah's my protection. Donald Trump in office, but I ain't vote for that election. Study self for perfection. Quran is my weapon. I leave my footprints, now they know how I'm stepping. Challenge jurisdiction, tell them challenge jurisdiction. Post-trial motions, tell them challenge that conviction. Special appearance, pay the court a special visit. Warrantless arrest, you got a motion to dismiss it. The Constitution missing, it's time to bring it back. That habeas corpus, that can bring your homie back. That Dred Scott case proves that slavery is black. And victimless crimes come from artificial facts. Hey. Let out you.
Oh, 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 gotta move, gotta move, who gotta move, who gotta move, I gotta move. Respond. I remember my name, I had no ring to it. Hey, now my shit ring bills like they in the school. When you hustling, it's a certain way you gotta move. Who gotta move, I gotta move.
Use Shipped same-day delivery when your fridge is empty, but your calendar is full. Give yourself extra time while a shopper picks up crisp apples for the week and delivers them right to your door. Try it today at Shipped.com.
Working across teams is tough, but Asana helps you handle it. Asana AI can spot roadblocks and assign work to keep everything on track. That's how work gets handled. Visit us at Asana.com.
If the feds listen, let them know they ain't got no jurisdiction. Islamism. Let's go. Islam. Only God can judge me, and ain't no man I'm fearing. These cases getting dismissed, so it ain't no interference. They know I'm a siren every time I'm appearing. They know I'm a problem to the whole legal system. I made a special appearance. They ain't never seen nothing like me. I got a passport clearance. My status got corrected. Not every case disappearing. I challenge subject matter when I came to the hearing. I'm case dismissing. Fell off for a quick second. Now I'm back on my mission. Enforcing Constitution. Now all these cops opposition. I'm playing my position. I'm a living legend. I just hope my son can listen. There's no competition. I got Larry vision to protect our community, regain our sovereignty, but it's gonna take some unity. Free the political prisoners, grant all of them immunity. They locked all of the real leaders who stood up and influenced me. They had plans to ruin me, but I overcame that. I done reincarnated back from my ancestors who came back. This slavery and this oppression, no more stress, and I changed that. I'm bringing back that Larry love, and I'm starting off with a gang's ass. Only God can judge me, and ain't no man I'm fearing. These cases getting dismissed, so it ain't no interference. They know I'm a siren every time I'm appearing. They know I'm a problem to the whole legal system. Only God can judge me, and ain't no man I'm fearing. These cases getting dismissed, so it ain't no interference. They know I'm a siren every time I'm appearing. They know I'm a problem to the whole legal system.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is a first look at the current industry-leading AI app builder, and you wouldn't believe the kind of apps that people are creating. Smart nutrition apps, inventory trackers, onboarding tools, you name it. And if the only thing stopping me from making the app is the idea, then why not build an
She can tell I'm different. I don't even watch television. She can tell I got tunnel vision. Staying focused on this money mission. I'm the king now, ain't no competition. New switches for the ammunition. You can learn the game, but you gotta listen. The game costs, gotta pay attention. The game costs, gotta pay attention. Everybody want the game free, but the freedom costs cause it ain't free. If you ain't a boss, then you can't eat. If you ain't a sheep, then you can't speak. Never fall off cause I'm 10 feet. I just made a play, now it's time to eat. I'm getting quiet money, never say a peep. Been dream chasing money, never sleep. I've been chasing dreams, money, never sleep. I've been working hard, no time clock. When I close my eyes, then the grind stop. I was born to grind to the pine box. Born from the home of the White Sox, where I got the vision of the Cyclops. No television, I don't wanna watch. Came from the block, now I'm selling
to stop. Came from the block, now I'm in a temple. Came from the bottom, then I seen a window. If you don't eat with me, then you on the menu. Now I got Yola on an instrumental. I'ma keep it simple, this is God's work. Mixed dedication with the hard work. Stay motivated, put God first. I had to let her go and put my heart first. Had to let her go and put myself first. I was working hard at my last job. Had to let her go and put my check first. I was working hard for my last boss till I bet it all on myself first. Then I turned myself to a real boss. Now I know the meaning of my self-worth. I ain't even asked for no help first, no handouts, cause I'm self-made. Had to reminisce on 71st when I turned 6 in the first grade. How I raised up to a grand Sheik. If you sick and tired, I'm the first aid. How I raised up to a grown man, got my own plan, it's the first phase. How I raised up from Chirac where you get clapped on your first day. I ain't never listened what the church say, so my uncle say I went the worst way. They ain't never call on a birthday, don't call me when it's verse pay. Got it out the mud like a dirt race. Started last, now I'm in the first place. Had to leave my ex with a hurt face. She can tell I'm different. I don't even watch television. She can tell I got tunnel vision. Staying focused on this money mission. I'm the king now, ain't no competition. New switches for the ammunition. You can learn the game, but you gotta listen. The game costs, gotta pay attention. She can tell I'm different. I don't even watch television. She can tell I got tunnel vision. Staying focused on this money mission. I'm the king now, ain't no competition. New switches for the ammunition. You can learn the game, but you gotta listen. The game costs, gotta pay attention. The game costs, gotta pay attention. Got Yola on it, got Yola on it, got Yola on it, got Yola on it, got Yola on it.
Islam. We back.
Islam.
Did y'all miss me?
Nah, we still had you. That music was fire.
Appreciation. I appreciate that. I'm gonna be dropping some fire coming soon. I got a new album. I'm gonna be dropping the next week or two. Part itself. It's like 15 songs. I've been working really hard on them. They're gonna be fire. Some of them you already heard, but it's a lot of new ones.
You must be don't get no sleep, huh?
Now we don't do sleep. I ain't rich enough for that.
You say he let her go, so he could focus on
she had to go.
She had to focus on that cat.
I feel you on that. That's what they tell me. I don't get no rest.
She didn't want to put in. She didn't want to help out, help the nation.
Yeah, that's. I feel like that's for rich people. People who can sleep all day, and I ain't getting enough money in my sleep. When I get enough money in my sleep, then yeah, I can probably do a 10-hour, 12-hour sleep day.
I feel you on that. It's time to put a lot of work in this year, man. We've been slacking on a lot of stuff, but it's time to put that work in, that real work this year. These people not playing, just like they don't get sleep, and then when they get off, they got somebody to take their place. We need to be like that. It's overtime. We need to put that work in.
Hey, that's true. And that's what we gonna establish this year too. We're gonna establish 8 ups. We're gonna establish more instructors, so we can all just help out with this workload because there's enough work for everybody. It's too much work for me. I could tell you that right now. It's too much for me. I can't do it by myself. I need a whole staff. We need a whole team for this one.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, this can't be done by myself. If I could, I would. It'd already be finished.
Also, Well, yeah. And
All right. Let's dive back in.
you should just pop in. I was just about to say, I'll see you have some extra arms, and I see another sister say she's also in Texas right now. Until the rest are able to arrive. Just do what we can from where we are.
As long tell them come on out this week, this Saturday. Whoever in Texas, come on, Link. You in Louisiana, come on next door. Wherever you at, come on through. It's gonna be free food and everything. Packages, gifts. We got music. It's just a start of many. We're gonna have more events though. This is just one of many. We're gonna do another one definitely in spring break, March. We're gonna keep it going. For sure. Barbecues, whatever we can do. There's always a good reason to come together.
Islam. And also, do you have any workshops, hands-on workshops while they're there? I know you have the entertainment. You have a lot of talent in Temple 84. Do you have any hands-on workshops?
Oh yeah, we're gonna be giving out a credit workshop right down the spot. I'm gonna do a credit audit on your credit report, tell you what you need to do, and get you the help you need right there on the spot. Cause it's gonna take everybody need to have good credit this year. And know how to, some people got good credit, just don't know how to use it. All right, let's continue.
Written form. Negotiable instruments normally must be in written form. 3. Clearly, an oral promise can create the danger. 3. UCC Section 3 to 104, which defines negotiable instruments, does not explicitly require writing. The writing requirement comes from the UCC's definitions of an order, as a written instruction, and a promise, as a written undertaking, UCC 3 to 103, A, 6, 9. Note, however, that since the widespread adoption of the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act, UETA, discussed in Chapter 19, an electronic record may be sufficient evidence of a written instruction to constitute a negotiable instrument, see UETA Section 16. Additionally, a handful of states have adopted the 2002 amendments to Article 3 of the UCC, which, as explained earlier, were issued explicitly to authorize electronic records. Thus, these states allow electronic negotiable instruments of fraud or make it difficult to determine liability. The writing must be on material that lends itself to permanence. Promises carved in blocks of ice or inscribed in the sand or on other impermanent surfaces would not qualify as negotiable instruments. The UCC nevertheless gives considerable leeway as to what can be a negotiable instrument. Checks and notes have been written on napkins, menus, tablecloths, shirts, and a variety of other materials.
Islam, checks and notes have been written on napkins, menus, tablecloths, shirts, and variety of other materials. Islam, so that you can write a check on a napkin. You can pay for these things with a napkin, more. Come on, man, what we talking about?
As long as they got the proper elements and a signature.
The writing must also have portability. Although the UCC does not explicitly state this requirement, if an instrument is not movable, it obviously cannot meet the requirement that it be freely transferable. For exam PLE, suppose that Cullen writes on the side of a cow, I, Cullen, promise to pay to Merrill or her order $500 on Exhibit 24-5. A typical small certificate demand. Technically, this meets the requirements of a negotiable instrument, but because the cow cannot as easily be transferred in the ordinary course of business, the instrument is non-negotiable. Signatures. For an instrument to be negotiable, it must be signed by 1. The maker if it is a note or a certificate of deposit, or 2. The drawer if it is a draft or a check. UCC 3-103, A. 3. 5. If a person signs an instrument as an authorized agent for the maker or drawer, the maker or drawer has effectively signed the instrument. UCC 3-402. Agents' signatures will be discussed in Chapter 26. Signature requirements. The UCC grants extreme latitude in regard to what constitutes a signature. UCC 1-201, 39, provides that a signature may include any symbol executed or adopted by a party with present intention to authenticate a writing. UCC 3-401, b, expands on this by stating that a signature may be made, I, manually or by means of a device or machine, and e, by the use of any name, including a trade or assumed name, or by a word, mark, or symbol executed or adopted by a person with present intention to authenticate a writing. Thus, initials, an X, if the writing is also signed by a witness, or a thumbprint will suffice as a signature. A trade name or an assumed name is also sufficient. Signatures that are placed onto instruments by means of rubber stamps are permitted and frequently used in the business world. If necessary, parole evidence, discussed in Chapter 15, is admissible to identify the signer. When the signer is identified, the signature becomes effective.
Islam, get that down in your notes. UCC 1-201-39. Very important to know what a signature is under the UCC versus in common law. Because it's a difference between an autograph and the signature. So I tell people, you sign that contract, you didn't autograph it. If you autographed it, it falls under common law when you put your thumbprint on it and you sign it with the correct instructions. But when you just signing it, that can be a signature, can be a rubber stamp. It can be a word, a mark, any symbol. It can be used by a machine. It can be coming from a copy machine or anything. That's why they can just see under UCC, this is a reason why they can take your signature and copy and paste it on other documents. Because the UCC allows this. UCC 3-401 allows this. When it says it can be manually or by means of device or machine, by the use of any name, including a trade or assumed name. The all cap name is your trade name and assumed name. That can be copy and paste. That's why you got to learn how to sign and autograph documents. You can even use initials on an X.
May I?
Or a thumbprint. Islam, go ahead.
Yeah, they said the X can be used as a witness. And a lot of times they have the X already pre-script, pre-written.
Facts.
Also, in the library, you can go find topography books where the signatures should be trademarked or copyright. so that they can't do the things that they're doing. So they have different art books, and that's about art. Your signature is art. It's your intellectual property. That should be trademarked, and that'll kill everything. And I was wondering why people have books, and when I look through it, there are different variations of signatures. Their marks are in those books, meaning
Yeah,
it's already accounted for, copyrighted.
that's facts. Got to copyright your signature.
Does a name belong? Let's say they created the name in all caps, but their signature is what activates and initiates everything. Transfer, transform, whatever you want to call it. But it's that um, autograph.
That's very correct. Not only that, remember the X stand for the exchequer. So one of my partner was dealing with a court case, and I told him, you know how you do the form 56, and they said somebody have to actually
Mm.